Rambling Willie is 17 years old and looks as good as ever at the horse park in Lexington, Kentucky. It's been 4 years since this harness racing legend raced for the last time. Let's visit Willie's old home, the farm of Bob and Vivian Farrington. Located in McKenna, Illinois, it's just 30 minutes from Chicago harness racing tracks. It was at this gorgeous farm that Willie was turned out between races, trained, and mended back to racing form after countless injuries. Willie trained many miles on this training track. When he wasn't enjoying the therapeutic training of this horse pool.
Now, Bob, everyone knows that Rambling Willie was purchased for about $15,000, but they don't realize the special reason why you went out to purchase Rambling Willie that day. Can you tell them why?
Well, at the time, I had an owner that I've had for about 10 years, and he didn't have any horses at the time, and he only had like $7,500 to spend on part of a horse or a horse. So we heard about this colt down in Indiana, so we went down and we bought the colt for $15,000, and on my way home, my wife and I decided to give half of the colt to Mr. Siebert and half of the colt to my wife for her birthday.
And did he wrap it up for you, Mrs. Farrington? Bring it home?
Well, he just told me that was my birthday present, half of Rambling Willie. And I'd wanted a horse since I was about 5 years old, so I was really elated over that. And then the papers came with my name on my birthday. And
Did you have any idea that Rambling Willie would be the legend that he is today?
No, because he bought him for a $10,000 claimer, and he thought he paid $5,000 too much, but he said he could win possibly $5,000 going up through the ranks. And so I was just hoping he could win one race so I'd have a picture of him to remember him by.
Vivian Farrington got her winner's circle picture, plus 127 more. This is the trophy room of the Farrington home. We're in this room that is just surrounded by so many things and so many memories about Rambling Willie. Bob, what is your greatest memory of Rambling Willie?
Well, I think just overall it's been a big memory to me. There's a couple races that kind of sticks out in my mind, but
Name one.
I think the Driscoll Series at the Meadowlands, that was a $196,000 race, and I think the Classic in California is the two races that really sticks out.
And was he just a pleasure to drive, or was he a problem to drive?
No, he was a little on the lazy side, but you had to get after him quite a bit, but whenever you get after him, he'd respond, and that's what made him such a great horse. He just kept trying right down to the wire.
Now, Vivian, I have been doing a lot of thinking about you these past few days in putting this whole program together, because I think about the relationship that you must have had. You were directly responsible for Willie's life and Bob's life and being involved in them, and you had a very, very special kind of personal relationship with Rambling Willie and Bob. Can you tell people how you felt about that, first with Rambling Willie? I mean, there was a special bond between the two of you. Can you explain that?
Well, Willie was special to me because I'd always wanted this horse. And when it was my horse, it was like my pet. And he was like one of the family, and he could communicate with you. I'd talk to him, and he'd like respond. And when I would ask him about winning a race, he even shook his head yes. And we found out he did win the races when he shook his head yes, and he didn't win when he didn't shake his head yes.
Did people think you were crazy?
No, I had quite a few would come up before the races and go to the barn with me to see if he was going to win or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so they believed it, after
And
they saw
how about Bob and all of the things that he and Rambling Willie went through together? When he came back and lost a race that he felt he should have won, I mean, what did you do to console him or comfort him and through all of those years? I mean, it couldn't have been an easy life.
Well, Bob always took everything in stride. He never let anything bother him. If he had a down, you never knew it. He was always on the up. And Bob and Willie were alike, and they always did their best, and you can't ask any more of them. So win or lose, it was always okay because we knew they did their best. Willie lost several races, but we found out later he had a problem. Mm-hmm. He had a really bad throat. He couldn't breathe, get his wind and everything. He had a sinus problem. He had a lot of problems that he raced with that no one knew about.
And he just kept coming back for more.
Right. He loved to race because I remember one time it was at the Meadows, and Bob didn't think he was quite right, and he thought he was going to scratch him, but he said in front of Willie, "I'll warm him up and I'll see how he is, and if he looks, dinky, we'll scratch him." And he looked perfect warming up, and he won the race. After the race, when he pulled him up, he couldn't hardly get him back to the barn.
And what was the injury then?
I think the bowed tendon just flared up on him.
And that's when you put him in the pool out there.
Yeah.
That you had to rely on a lot of your experience and in a lot of training that you didn't have when you were treating Willie and training him and getting him ready for races and taking care of him when he came back from them badly. What was the biggest problem that you overcame with him?
Well, I think his bowed tendons was his biggest problems, and then he had a check ligament behind. But it's awful hard to treat a horse when you're shipping every week and racing different tracks and different veterinarians, and it's a lot more difficult than it is if you're at one place all the time.
Tomorrow, Vivian Farrington tells us about the horse that God loved.
Well, naturally, I wanted to win them all because it wasn't for me, it was the fans. Every time you'd go someplace, the management, they'd come up to you and they'd say, look at the crowd coming in to see Willie win. And I thought, what a pressure they're putting on this horse, They expect him to win every time. And then I'd see all his fans, and I didn't want him letting the fans down. But the race that I remember the most is, it was in California, and it was right after opening at the Meadowlands. And the track wasn't that good opening night, and Willie won, but it tore up his tendon again. And they almost didn't ship him to to California. But we had flown back, and the plane and all the truck was ready to pick Willie up, so the groom didn't know what to do but send him, so he shipped him out. They couldn't get a hold of us, and when he got to Bob Gordon's stable, he was so lame, and he thought he couldn't race him. And my background, my father's a preacher, so I read the Bible in the mornings when I get up to start my day. My day just goes better. And this morning I was reading in the Bible, and it said, you can ask for anything, and if you believe, it's yours. And so I got down on my knees, and they had called us in the meantime and told us about his problem. And I said, Lord, I know you can do anything, and I know you can heal Willie's leg. And at that instant, I felt like I was being lifted, and the room just filled with love is the only way I can describe this feeling. And I got the message that Willie's leg was healed and he would win the race. And so before we went out, they kept debating, would they put him in the box? Was they going to race him? And I know he's already going to win this one. I know. And I said, you have to put him in the box. You can always scratch him. So they said, okay, we'll put him in the box. And we get to the track, and my owner likes to bet. And so I told him, I said, bet anything you want, he's going to win. And he wasn't as convinced. So he went down, talked to Bob, and he come up and he said, well, Bob said if it rains, he'll scratch him. It was supposed to rain, but it hadn't yet at that time. And they came on the track, and I said, well, he's going to race. And he said, no, Bob said I can turn him behind the starting gate. I can still turn him and not race him because it downpoured right then. As they come out, there was a downpour. So I didn't know if he was going to race or not. And I thought, I know he's going to win. He's got to race. So Willie won the race. He won by about 10 open lengths. And all the way to the winner's circle, this owner said, you and your faith. And I said, how much did you bet?
Tomorrow, the richest harness horse in history, and then Ramblin' Willie crosses the finish line for the 128th and last time. On August 8th at Sportsman's Park Racetrack, Ramblin' Willie became the richest harness horse of all time.
And the outside, Ramblin' Willie. In the lane, that's Ramblin' Willie taking the lead. Game Robbie Racing second with Waco Brett third. Under urging now, Ramblin' Willie, and the outside, Waco Brett is closing. Ramblin' Willie and Waco Brett in a driving finish.
Freehold Raceway on August 27th set the stage for the final victory. It was an invitational race in which Ramblin' Willie crossed the finish line for the 128th time.
And they're off along the rail. Swift Justice for the lead, with Chief Womble second out in the middle of the racetrack. Ramblin' Willie around the first turn, and it's Swift Justice with the lead. There goes Ramblin' Willie, and Ramblin' Willie now will challenge for the lead with Swift Justice along the rail. Chief Womble is third, Roman Moon fourth, then it's Bobby Garrison in fifth, Embassy Chuck sixth, Abby Deal seventh. And it's Ramblin' Willie on the front end. Up on the outside, it's Roman Moon second with Swift Justice third. 29-1 for the quarter. Around the turn, and Roman Moon leads it by a length. Ramblin' Willie in second with Swift Justice third. Chief Womble along the rail fourth. Bobby Garrison in fifth as they come by the stands the first time. And here comes Willie now looking to reclaim the lead. And Ramblin' Willie now will reclaim the lead by 3/4 of a length. Swift Justice on the outside is second with Roman Moon in third. Abby Deal fourth. 59-3 to the half. Around the clubhouse turn the final time. Ramblin' Willie by half a length. Swift Justice second and challenging with Roman Moon along the rail. Abby Deal is fourth. Chief Womble in fifth. Down the backstretch, Ramblin' Willie put to the test. Ramblin' Willie on the inside. Swift Justice on the outside, and they're stride for stride with Roman Moon in third. 3/4, 129-2. Round the final turn, Ramblin' Willie maintains a nose lead with Swift Justice in second, a length and a half. Roman Moon third as the field in and leads it now by a length with Swift Justice in second. The champion's going to win another one. Win number 128, Rambling Willie.
And the last time. Tomorrow, Rambling Willie's farewell. What made you decide to retire him? I mean, what was the final... You'd had plenty of disappointments with him before, and you just always came back and always brought him back. What made you finally decide that it was enough?
I think he more or less told me that he had enough. He was 13 years old, and he raced awful hard that year. He was shipped, and that was the year that he was on that tour. And I think he was just getting tired, and there was horses beat him last 2 or 3 starts that shouldn't have beat him, so I didn't want to cheapen the horse up any more than I had to, because fans, they see a horse his last 5 or 6 starts, and that's what they remember him of. They don't remember him when he won all the races and done everything that he's done.
On Friday, September 30th, 1983, Governor James Thompson declared Rambling Willie Day in Illinois. Thousands of his fans came to pay tribute to this racing legend. He had a total of 305 career starts against the best horses in the country over a 12-year career. He had a 42% winning average with 128 wins. He finished second 69 times and had 43 third-place finishes, an incredible 78% average in the money. Only twice did he win a purse of over $100,000, and yet had a total lifetime earnings, $2,038,219. As he returns to the winner's circle for the final time, they cut the retirement cake. Fans had tears in their eyes. Ramblin' Willie lives on in the hearts and minds of all harness fans. Chicago Harness Racing gratefully acknowledges Bob and Vivian Farrington for their cooperation in the production, and our special thanks to Jack Daniel.